Take my bride, let's go for a ride in my newfangled automobile. Here's where we will go. Nobody knows, but it's sure a great way to feel. Behind the wheel of the speed meter steel, it's my newfangled automobile. Hello and welcome to Vintage Car History. I'm Wild Bill. Early automotive history is full of companies founded by brothers. The Stanley brothers, the Dodge brothers, Apperson brothers, and many more. It's quite common amongst brothers for one to be the engineer, another to be the salesman and run the business, or even for more brothers to join in and further share in the various responsibilities. So today, we'll take a look into the history of yet another great make of vintage car and the brothers involved, Crossley. Major Francis Crossley was part of the East India Company and was the governor of the Andaman Islands in the early part of the 1880s. He and his wife returned to Ireland in the 1830s and had three sons, Francis, William, and Hastings. Francis, known as Frank to distinguish between he and his father, was born in 1839 at the family home in Glenburn, Ireland. He, like his father, was a Protestant Christian and had two passions, engineering and evangelism. William shared the family faith and proved to be truly gifted in both engineering and business. He was also born at the Glenburn home in 1844 and, like all of the brothers, received an excellent education. And both Frank and William also completed engineering apprenticeships. Hastings pursued an educational career as a theologian and classical scholar and published many books on both subjects, but did not partner in business with his other two siblings. So, Crossley as a company began in 1867 when Frank, with the help and some money from his uncle, bought a small company in Manchester, England, the Dunlop Engine Company, which manufactured industrial pumps, various presses, and portable steam engines, primarily for use in the textile and emerging rubber industries. Now, Frank was the engineer and was totally into the product, but William was the businessman, and so the two partnered up to rename the company Crossley Brothers and Dunlop. Now, just to be clear, the Dunlop company they bought was not from the John B. Dunlop of pneumatic tire fame, but rather his cousin, John M. Dunlop. Anywho, the Crossley brothers continued to improve and expand the business. Frank designed better products for their customers, while William ran the operations and also looked for more opportunities to grow. Within 2 years, they acquired patents for various internal combustion engines and added them to the company catalog. Now, their factory wasn't in the best part of town, but they were able to grow to the point that in 1882, they moved to a much bigger and better facility on the east side of the city. The previous year, they reorganized and renamed the company Crossley Brothers Limited, dropping Dunlop from their label. With all of the various engine patents in their possession, they refocused their production, and Crossley became well known as a premier builder and supplier of just about whatever engine you wanted to buy. Unfortunately, Frank passed away in 1897 at the age of 58. But William pressed on, and by 1904, the Crossley Company was mass-producing engines of all kinds and sizes, some of which found their way into motor vehicles. It was at that time that William decided to try to make a car. He hired designers experienced with cars, J.S. Crossley and W. McFarlane, both having had worked for Daimler previously. The plan was simple: to build a British version of the new Mercedes cars. The first cars rolled out of the factory in late 1904. It sported a 22 horsepower four-cylinder engine, cast at 2 blocks of 2 cylinders, 3-speed transmission, and chain drive for the rear wheels. The car was equipped with features not common for the time: a water pump for the coolant as opposed to the thermal siphon method, which was more typical, lightweight alloy pistons, and a carburetor with an automatic choke. The success of this car proved that the company was on the right track. So, in 1906, the Crossley Motors Limited Company was formed to produce cars exclusively. The same year, their new 40 horsepower car was unveiled and was an immediate success. The early Crossley cars could be bought either complete or in chassis form, and many of those chassis went to the finest coach builders in Britain. Amongst these was Charles Jarreau, a race driver that was also heavily involved in importing and selling cars. Through his company, Charles Jarreau and Letts, he built many fine bodies for Crossley cars, many being bought by Britain's nobles of the time. William was knighted and granted peerage as the first baronet of Glenfield in 1910, the year before his death. The history of the company during the First World War and beyond will be told another day, for there's a lot to tell. Although the company pretty much stopped making cars by 1937, they did continue to make engines. The company has changed hands a few times and is currently owned by Rolls-Royce, but the legacy of the brothers Crossley still lives on. Thanks for watching Vintage Car History, and we'll see you next week. Peace.